Yo, what is going on YouTube? My name is G Traits, and in this video, we're going to take a casual, aka me, all the way through a Warzone match to see if we can get that win. Gonna have to stick around to the end to find out. So, over the last few months, I've been absorbing as much information as I can about the new Warzone. I was a player back in the golden days during the pandemic when loads of people were furloughed and the whole squad was online, but a lot has changed since then, including game mechanics and an insanely quick time to kill. But first things first, you're going to have to drop into the map. So where do you drop? Well, wherever you drop, you're going to have to drop
Oh,
smart.
what a shit circle.
Now here you can see me selecting a bounty contract, and I often go for these first thing in the game to play for intel. So to make sure I know where the nearest enemies are around me, typically when you pick up a bounty, it will mark players closest to you. That way you can have an objective, you're working towards fighting someone else. Or if you drop in, you can also go for the first player near you, like this.
Fuck off! There's no way!
Again, it doesn't always go well as a casual player. So my next step is the gulag, and positioning is most important. So I've marked here on the video where's best in this gulag. It is the 1v1s. I'm sure nobody misses the 2v2s, and here's a classic example of me not following my own advice. So I use the snapshots to try and understand where the player is in the gulag. Typically they are taking that high ground, and you can see me here moving back to the high ground. In a second here is probably when I first see the player. Take a few shots, make sure you got enough in the clip, and I go for the kill. Now that was quite aggressive. I am an aggressive player, and I'd always recommend fighting from cover, especially in this new game. So now you see me dropping back onto my teammate. The aim here is to get my guns, make sure I've got my tacticals and my lethals. And as soon as I drop in, you can see there are players shooting at me, and I take a few hits from that window there. It's really important to be aware of your surroundings. And make sure you're fully plated at all times. You never want to take an engagement with only 2 plates. This is where I hear a player breaking a window. Now I would always recommend don't always push.
What? To them! Oh, yes, baby! Finally.
Right there you see I started to get
You kids.
I started to get shot in the back by his teammate, whereas I could have stayed in cover. Now my next step is to use the recon drones. They're super useful. You can get them into position, park them there, and they will act as free wall hacks in the game. They will mark enemy locations. Now strongholds are really strong in the game. You can see they appear white on the map, and then I believe as soon as you get near them they go red, which is when the bomb disposal happens. I assumed this may have been another player taking on the stronghold as well, but let me know down in the comments if you know exactly why the strongholds go red. So here is me and my mate just clearing the stronghold, getting rid of the bots, and this is me defusing the bomb now. So you can move, you don't have to stay in one position when you're defusing, and definitely get a redeploy that comes out of there. That's super useful. If you've already burnt your gulag like me, it means you can redeploy straight back in. You can buy them from the buy station, or pick them up from strongholds. Now, it's really important to grab your perks in Warzone. You want every advantage that you can get. So me and my mate run Ghost. There are loads of other really strong perks like High Alert. There used to be a Bird's Eye, that was incredible, but unfortunately that's been removed from the game now. And here you can see me and my mate just scouting for information. So we're using the pings from the stronghold there to identify any players near us. And I would really strongly recommend making the most of pings. You can say I'm getting shot from this location, you can use the little compass at the top, but who has time for that? People just want to get a ping from their teammates, know where to look straight away. So you can ping from your map, or you can ping in-game based on what you're looking at. So right now we're slowing down the gameplay a bit. We've got control of a stronghold. We've got that constant UAV, and we're making most of the cover here. Sometimes you might find a lot of players dropping into a stronghold to take advantage of the weapons and the streaks and the hella cash that's available there. Always pay attention to the in-game callouts. So there I heard a player was dropping in. I pinged for my teammate, and he has an airstrike, which he uses. I'd recommend holding on to airstrikes for as long as you can, but it's a really effective way of pushing people either into buildings when you're covering, or pushing people off of rooftops if they're fighting against you. So here you see me take a couple of pod shots, just letting them know I'm here. I've got the stronghold, a bit of power position, and the constant UAV. So I'm in no mood to give up this. We've also got a decent circle pull there. You can see it on the mini-map. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm in a good position. At this point, we catch two players rotating in late, so you never want to be these guys where you're racing against the gas, you have no time to check if there's anyone in front of you. You want to be holding people as they're rotating into the zone. So this is where I make play to push over to those pings to try and get those kills. At this point, those players will be in the circle, I'm sure. So I'm just listening for any audio cues, playing for intel, and there we go. Talk about COD timing. The player runs across the building, doesn't realize I'm in there, and we get to shoot him in the back. Now I know he has a teammate, so again, instead of pushing out to loot him, I'm keeping my position in the building, staying safe, and being patient. And that's another one of my top tips. You have to play patient in this game. You see me throw a flash there, trying to identify if he's anywhere near me. A couple of shots, maybe he was clearing out some bots that were near the stronghold. And again, patience paid off. He jumps into the water, I get the easy clean up there. So it's a win-win. Now, at this point is where we need to start pushing up into the next circle. And you can see from the map, we've got a long way to go across open land. This is where I pop my UAV, make sure I've got my kill streak in my inventory slot there. And when you're moving across open areas like this, you have to have a bit of COD luck. You know, anyone could be in these buildings, anyone could be on top of that hill to the right there. You just got to make a beeline to a power position or to high ground. So you can see me there calling out the location of enemies that I've seen on the UAV. I'm moving from cover to cover. This is a scary point when my friend starts getting shot at, so I dive to the nearest rock. Just literally use any bit of cover. But if there was someone on that high ground there, they'd have an easy time killing me. So it's really important to make the most use of cover in this game. You can see me pushing here to take the high ground. Now that is probably the number one tip in this game. Everyone wants to play from high ground, or always be going to the roof of a building, always be going to the highest point in the map. And obviously the more you play the game, the more your map knowledge will improve. So here you can see me taking a zip line to secure that high ground. I have no idea if there are players up here at this point, so I do make use of the crouching. But really, I don't recommend crouching the whole time. If you are going to get into an engagement, most players are going to be shooting at the center of your mass, and by crouching, you're putting your head there. So the headshot multiplier in the game is insane. They're more likely to win the fight if you're crouching. But by all means, when you're in an area where you're not sure if there's enemies, or you're in a building and you want to keep quiet, make use of crouch walking. So as we get to the top of this hill here, my friend starts taking shots on a player. He does call out there is someone there. I get very lucky and see his teammate, and we manage to wipe that team quite quickly. Now at this point, it's all about grabbing streaks. You want to have an inventory of at least 2 or 3 airstrikes, cluster bombs, mortars, whatever they're called, in your inventory, just to use in that final circle. Here you can see I'm keeping an eye on a mortar streak that's been called in, and I've zoomed in there to make the most of vehicles. So vehicles are super strong at helping you move and rotate safely. So especially when I'm playing solo, I'll use vehicles to drive around the map. If a player starts shooting at me, I might drive back to them and take on that engagement. Here I'm going to fast forward. There's not much that happens. We do a bit of creeping in the grass there and crouch walking until we find the next engagement. As I said, don't crouch walk all the time. It's not the best tip in the game. Now here is where I get lucky. Someone decides to fly in to my field of vision. So another easy kill. We're up to a 5 kill streak. As I say, I'm a 1.2 KD player. I'm no COD master. I'm not a COD god. You can see the little sparks from the plane there, I think is another player. But my next tip is to be super aware and conscious of everything going around. So look for movement. This just there in the corner of my eye, my peripheral vision, I saw something move. I couldn't be sure if it was a player, but I get the confirmation there where I can see them moving in the window. And then they decide to jump out. They don't know we're here. We take the shots and get them weak. At this point, I do recommend pushing engagements when you have the advantage. So I know the player's low plates. They happen to be running up the stairs towards me. It's an easy kill. But again, you can see I'm still conscious. Does he have friends? Did he not go down straight away because he had his self-revive? Typically, a lot of people playing around the buy station, they want to go and get buy their friend back. But in this case, we were fine. So here you can see me grabbing a vehicle. It happened to be parked in that cave, the cave complex. I come to pick up my teammate. And then I make the worst error possible, basically crashing the car. So if anyone in the comments knows how you can get cars moving after you get them stuck like that, let me know, because that is annoying as we have more open ground to cover at this point.
We're really done with that.
Again, here you see me trying to be aware of my surroundings, looking for the high point, and here you go, moving up to the high ground. So my next tip is work from previous intel. So we did know there was a team across the river. Also make the most of diving to cover. That really helps you just cover more ground quickly and safely. I will have another video looking at settings where you can make dive your preferred movement option so that when you tap the button, you'll dive instead of slide. Here, this is what I like to say is, what would Obi do in this situation? Obi-Wan Kenobi, the absolute god and master of high ground, is always looking to take the high ground. So here, I realized my mate had a great position in a tall building that would overlook the surrounding area. So if anyone was rotating late in from the gas, we'll be able to take this fight quite easily with nice head glitches. So at this point, I'm using a thermal scope, so that really helps just to identify any people in gas or smoke. And when you have to cross large bits of the map and you have elevation, take advantage of the parachutes and fly to where you want to go. It's just the most quick and efficient way of getting there. And then this is a nice little tip of how to get onto the shopping center. I'm sure by now most people know how to do this, but in case you're new to the game, that's how you get onto the roof. So at this point, the mid game is where it does slow down quite a lot. Unless you're doing a contract, unless you've got loads of UAVs and you're pushing teams, it can really slow down really. You don't see many people. But it's important to try and get good location within the zone as early as possible. So here you can see us holding the edge of zone. I see a team across there fighting with people over the river. So my next tip is to third party where possible. Yes, be that guy. You're in it to win. If you hear people fighting, go and clean up the survivors. It's easy kills. And you know, these people have just been in the fight, probably lost their plates. You need to take advantage of that and get the easy kills while they're distracted. Here you see me struggling to vault, but I managed to pick someone in the river, do a bit of damage to his friend, and then I realize I'm getting shot from across the river. So there's no way I could win that fight. So always prioritize your life, especially when it comes to the final end zone. So now we've got to cross the river. We know there's people across it. The best way to do that is to cross underwater. To make sure you're swimming deep enough, it stops you getting shot at. Players can't see exactly where you are as easily. It's the best way to cross. So here we are at the edge of the circle, making sure I'm aware, pushing the first building I can see just to make sure I got cover. Again, play it slow. We're coming to the final circles now. The players will be more congested. You can see there are 7 other teams still on the map. I wanted to check this little tunnel to make sure it's clear and there was no one in there. And then we realize a player takes the car next to us. As you can see it go red on the map then. So the best way to disable vehicles is to use your kill streak. I did take a few shots. It's an armored vehicle, so it's hard to shoot them out of the passenger, out of the driver's seat. So I make the most of the streaks that I do have. This pushes the player out of the car, and my mate gets the easy shot.
Oh my god.
This can happen as well. It shouldn't happen, so if there's any COD developers watching this video, patch that. I shouldn't be getting down by my own airstrike in a building. But there we go. This obviously rattles me. It throws a bit of my composure. What I should have done after jumping off this building is parachute into the zone, but I missed my parachute. It's really important to try and stay calm in the final circles. The more you do it, the more experience you get fighting in the last circles, the more composure you'll have. So at this point, it's not a fantastic circle to fight from. You just have to make use of every bit of cover that's available. So that includes trees, rocks, the ground. You can see there, I really want to push for that high ground, and there's already a team up there. So I get some shots off. I wish I had my airstrike. Luckily, my friend has another one, so he plants it right on that hill. And that helps to push the team off of that location so that we can push up there. Now I happen to have flash grenades, so I use these to make sure there's no one there. I would get an indicator if my flash grenade flashed someone. Unfortunately for those guys, they decided to leave the high ground, and they most likely ran into one of the nearest buildings, so giving us a power position. I use my mortar strike then just to keep them suppressed and inside that building, just so that we can rotate into a new position due to the circle pull. Here you can see my friend doing a stupid thing and pushing into the building alone. So that's my 21 tip, don't push alone. I check around that corner to make sure there's not another team there. And then I wait where I am to try and play for information. I know there's a team in that building. Where's the other team though? They're most likely fighting from the roof, and here you can see me spot the players, the last teams fighting each other. So I have no reason to move, there's no one behind me, and I get a fantastic circle pull here. So my last tip is rotate early in the final circle. You want to be in the best position possible for that final circle. You want people having to come to you. You've got cover, you've got high ground, you've got the best position, and they're having to fight through the gas really. And you can tell there's a big fight going on there. The fire shotgun is an absolute disgusting gun in the game at the moment. Get some good shots off. You can tell I'm using an old meta weapon. My attachments aren't that good. The gun's a bit bouncy. Thermal scopes are another huge asset in the game.
Whoa, yeah, baby!
And here you can see my reaction.
No, get the camera! Get the camera!
So that was 23 tips that you can implement as a casual player to win a game in Warzone. You can tell I was very pleased with this win. It was a textbook example of how a casual player can make it and win. So if you've enjoyed the video, or if you've got any feedback, let me know in the comments, and why not check out one of my other videos linked at the end. The aim of this channel is to provide helpful content from a casual player's perspective, something a bit different to all the other sweaty Warzone content out there. And please do click like and subscribe and help me on my journey to 1,000 subscribers. I'll see you in the next video.